Rachel,
And I'm Amanda.
and this is episode 16 of Books and Bingos. This week we'll be sharing some titles with a lake setting. Special thanks to Sarah's Storytime for reaching out to request this theme. So, Amanda, do you have any favorite settings and books?
Anywhere not Texas, because it is like crazy hot right now. And I just got back from San Diego and I realized that my whole life I didn't think I was an outdoor person. And it turns out I'm just not an outdoor person in Texas. I was born in the wrong state. So the weather in San Diego was amazing and phenomenal, and I already miss it. So anywhere that I think is like nice outside, sunny, but I also like, the settings of Europe, and reading about like tropical locations. So just like comfortable settings for outside, I like. What about you?
I think just yeah, like aesthetically pleasing, and I like a real good description of the setting. So I really am starting to like this lakeside setting. I've read several now and I'm like, yes, the lakeside is good.
Yeah.
Like you said, I think some travel ones where you get to see multiple places is always nice.
Yeah.
But my favorite is like a cold setting where they're all trapped together and then people start dying. That's like my
I like
favorite
that
thing
too. Yeah, I like that too. I think we did that with our murder March bingo one time where it was like, a call like with snow and or trapped location. I like that too.
Yes, that's
Um,
the best setting ever.
I grew up on the lake. We had a boat, a speedboat growing up, and so I love a good lake setting because it's something that reminds me of my childhood. So like I loved reading these. So thank you so much for the recommendation.
Yes, this was a fun one. And if you want to recommend a theme to do, just reach out to us and let us know. We're always excited to add them in. So, Amanda, why don't you tell us about your first lake pick?
My first one is The Guncle Abroad by Stephen Rowley. This is an adult book. I believe it should be like in the humor category, but it definitely is realistic fiction. This is a sequel to The Guncle, and you don't necessarily have to read them in order because I felt like the second one did a good job of kind of recapping what happened in the first book. But after Gup, also known as Gay Uncle Patrick, said goodbye to his niece and nephew at the end of the Guncle. They head home to be with their dad. This now picks up several years later, where Maisie is now headed into high school and Grant is headed into middle school. And Patrick is taking the kids across Europe in preparation for their father's wedding at Lake Como. Definitely a place I would love to visit someday. It sounded amazing. But Maisie is not happy that her father is remarrying. In the first book, we learn that their mother passed away, so definitely a lot of feelings there. And she tries to convince her Uncle Patrick to break the couple up. And Patrick is dealing with his own issues because the girls have a new Lant, also known as a lesbian aunt. And she is going to be part if the dad and the girlfriend get married, then she will be their Lant. And so he's feeling like he's not cool enough anymore, that the kids don't want to be around him. Also dealing with stuff in his career as an actor and how much he misses Emery since their breakup. So as the wedding gets nearer, emotions are high, and everything comes to a head at the rehearsal dinner. So this one was so much fun. I loved it as much as I loved the first one. Definitely a great one to read in the summer. Lots of summer vibes. LGBTQI plus representation. The content warnings would be death, parental death, just recounted, cancer recounted, grief, addiction, hospitalization, and alcohol. And the squares that it would fit would be outdoorsy, 2024 release, beach read, book setting you'd like to visit. That's just me personally. New York Times bestseller, hot climate setting, LGBTQI plus rep, set in the summer, and romance.
Wonderful, wonderful. I never got to this first one, but it was on my list. I think I even have it downstairs on my shelf. It just looks
Yes.
so much fun. I love the
It
cover.
is. It definitely is. I put it off too long too.
All right, my first one is Murder at the Lakeside Library by Holly Danvers. This is the first book in an adult cozy mystery series. After the death of her husband, our main character returns home to her family's lake house to try to kind of collect herself again. and she doesn't really know what she's going to do with her life. She doesn't know how long she's going to be there. She's just kind of in shambles a little bit. But while she's there, she reunites with an old friend, and they're telling her that she must open the community library, which is situated on her property. And she's like, this is the last thing I want to do. I'm over here, just wanting to be by myself, kind of get through my grief. And they're all like, open the library. She's like, whatever, okay, fine. So she gets together with a few people to, work through the kinks of opening the library, and they stumble on a dead body right outside of the outhouse, which is conveniently where the extra key to the house is kept. So they have to figure out, like, who is this man? The rumor is that it could be our main character's mom's secret lover, and what connection does he have with the family? Why does he have a copy of her grandfather's book that they never lent out to anybody? So there's so many questions, and of course the cute local cop is here to help. I think he might be a possible love interest in the future, and it was just a lot of fun. It was really cute. I love the lakeside setting, especially of like this lakeside library. It sounded so cozy. I believe there are currently 3 books out in this series, so I'll definitely be continuing on. There are content warnings for death of a loved one, death in general, violence, infidelity, marital issues, grief, past family drama. I don't want to be too specific because it gives a lot of spoilers, but there is a lot of family drama going on in this book. For the squares, it would be beach on the cover, set in the summer, books in a series, first book in a series, lakeside setting, and leaves on the cover.
That sounds precious. Like, I know that's weird to say when it has all this death,
Yeah.
but the lakeside setting with the library, that sounds
It was
adorable.
just so cozy. I mean, just the sounds of it was like, yes, I want to. They have like this back deck set up like overlooking the lake where you can
Oh,
like read the books you're thinking of borrowing. And it's like,
yes.
this is
That's
genius.
adorable. Yes. In my next life, I will be a bookshop owner and be at like a setting. Well, I could still do it now, but it's not looking good.
Let's
But
do it. Let's join
let,
forces.
let's do it. So my next book is Six More Months of June by Daisy Garrison. This one's been kind of making the rounds on social media as it did release recently. It is a YA plus romance. So how I categorize that is generally they are at the end of their senior year or senior year summer or heading into college. So for me, new adult really feels like college or, post graduation. So these books that are right at the end of high school, I feel like are great for high school libraries, but I will not be putting this one in my middle school library. Just wanted to share that. The tropes involved in this one is childhood friends to lovers, makeover, jealousy. So, getting a little main character gets jealous when his best friend, that's a girl, starts dating his friend. So, that whole thing, and opposites attract. The reason I chose this one is because throughout the book, and you'll see it on the cover, it kind of has like a lake beach setting, but the pond lake anecdote I wanted to mention because they go through this whole thing about how the lake was named Pond Lake. So the fact that they really kind of honed in on that made me feel like it was good for this one, even though they don't spend a whole lot of time at Pond Lake. But this is about Golden Boy Kaplan, and he meets book nerd Mina in 3rd grade. And he actually hates her because she loves to read and reads for pleasure, and he can barely finish a sentence. Obviously, he ends up getting diagnosed with like dyslexia and reading like dysgraphia, that kind of thing. And when their teacher puts them together for reading partners, they become best friends. And that's how it's always been. Everyone knows Cap and Mina. And regardless of the fact that Kaplan is super popular and Mina is not, they have made their friendship work. But now it's the end of high school and they have to make decisions about their future. Mina wants to stay close to home with Kaplan instead of attending Yale. And so that's like a whole issue because she is choosing like what's comfortable over challenging herself a little bit. And Kaplan worries that he peaked in high school. So when Mina starts dating Cap's best friend Quinn, Cap begins to finally shift his attention from his popular cheerleader girlfriend and sees Mina in a whole new light. The content warnings for this are sexual assault, disgust, anxiety, There is an anxiety attack on page. Bullying, death of a parent, parental abandonment, emotional cheating, alcohol, drug use, physical altercation, blood, grief, car accident, suicide ideation, and depression. And while that is a lot of content warnings for something that is kind of marketed as a young adult romance, it all is handled very well, and I believe that it kind of, some of these things kind of go hand in hand with being a high school student and having a lot of emotions and family drama and things like that. Um, the squares that it works for is 2024 release, beach on the cover, set in the summer, outdoorsy. I think lake setting would work, obviously. Beach read, book setting you'd like to visit because it sounded really cute, small town in Michigan, and romance.
Of course.
Of course.
My next one is going straight back to like the mystery thriller, of course. It is another book by Riley Sager. This one's called House Across the Lake. For some reason, I just did not really feel motivated to read this book. It took me several days to get started, but once I did, I literally finished it almost entirely in one setting. I think I got up to like roll my laundry over, and that was it. So, I mean, just know that going into it. And it started like really well. It wasn't even like it had a slow start. I don't know why. I just took a while to get into it, but it really pulled me in. This is an adult mystery thriller following a troubled former actress who's kind of forced to go to her private lake house, her family's private lake house, to try to pull herself together. She's kind of had a public spectacle. Things have not gone well since her husband's passed. Just a lot of drama, and she is definitely an alcoholic at this point. So they've kind of sequestered her at this house so that she can be out of the media's eye and pull her life together, but she is having a hard time. She's continuing to drink. She spends most of the day drinking and sitting outside on the porch, watching across the lake at this new celebrity couple that just moved in. And she kind of becomes obsessed. Like she's watching them with binoculars constantly. She knows the layout of the house just from watching across the lake. It's kind of creepy. But at one point, she believes that things are escalating and the husband has now killed his wife. But she can't really get anybody to help her or believe her because she's kind of become an unreliable narrator at this point, being so alcoholic that she is blacking out on occasions. And a lot of times people are asking her, like, how much have you had to drink today? So we have this whole twist with an unreliable narrator, and then so many twists that I did not see coming. I feel like that's one downfall of reading so many mystery thrillers, is that it's really hard to surprise me anymore. Like I feel like I've seen most of it. I see most of these things coming. I gasped at the first one. I did not see that coming, and it changed the whole book. It was wild. Like I said, I read it pretty much in one sitting. Absolutely enjoyed it. It was so much fun, even though it's, you know, kind of dark content matter. It was just a real fun book to read. The content warnings are obviously alcoholism and addiction, marital issues, possible abuse, death of a loved one, and drowning. Squares that will work for are out of doorsy, a beach read, book setting you'd like to visit. Their lake sounds amazing. Lake setting, New York Times bestseller, and some leaves on the cover.
I have had this on my TBR since like he released the cover for it like years ago, or like not that long ago, but now I definitely want to bump it up because I do like Riley Sager, even though sometimes he can be hit or miss for me.
Yes.
But this one sounds really good. I'm gonna take your word for it. See.
It was so good. Definitely read it so we could talk about it.
Yay. Okay, I will.
And those are our recommendations for the week. If you would like to share your recommendations or request a theme to be highlighted in a future show, reach out on social media at Books and Bingos or email us at booksandbingos@gmail.com. Remember to download our new bingo card and start tracking your reads. We'll be using this card through September. Thanks for listening, and join us again next week when we'll be spotlighting some of our favorite series.